Hello and welcome back to You Want to Do What with Dan and Julie. Today we've got Sheldon on, who is a videographer. Hi Sheldon, how are you?
Hey, good, thank you.
Nice to have you on, mate.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like I said, it's my first podcast, so we'll see how it goes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what videography actually is?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess when you talk about the term videography, like there's so many different avenues which you could really describe it as effectively. Obviously, you've got a wedding side, which is more of like a love story kind of film. Then you've got like the promotional side, which is more, really creative. You can work with campaigns, like I'm talking like Nike, Adidas, like brands sort of side. So I mean, it's a hard term to define because, there's so many videographers out there. And it just like, for me, it's really just about, getting a brand or getting somebody who has a story to tell. For example, like a gym, take a gym, like how can you portray their brands in a video? How can you get their message out there? How can you get what they're about, in a video when people watch this content that they really feel what the brand's about effectively?
Would it be fair to call it short format filmmaking in a way?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, to be honest, like just talking about this now is good for me because, like I haven't done it for a massively long amount of time. Like I'm still fairly new, especially in a professional sense. So like, I mean, calling it filmmaking, like it's definitely, like that's more the size of like, having a storyline and fulfilling a storyline. But
because I think that's a bit of the difference between videographer and filmmaker is the filmmaker's more story based, whereas you're more like reality based. You're capturing moments that are actually happening, sort of thing, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I'm trying to say is like, if I was to sit down and compose a script and a story to film a short film, that's so different to going to doing a promotional campaign for a gym as such.
I've actually started to sort of geek out a little bit over videographers on YouTube. I've
Yeah.
been down an absolute rabbit warren, like Peter McKinnon, Chris
Yeah.
Howe, these guys, some of the stuff they make, honestly, it's like a mini film. It is absolutely brilliant. We've seen some of your stuff actually. You've worked with, we had Harry Keane on from AOD a little while ago, and some of the stuff you guys did there, and you make it look so fucking cool. Like I want to go to their gym because of the films that you've made. I think it's brilliant, and it's quite creative. And I actually bought a little like a mirrorless camera, like a Canon camera, to have a go myself.
Oh yeah.
And I was absolutely I was shit. I was awful. I could do like the filming bits, but when it came to editing, no hope. The attention for detail is just not for me. But how do you like that editing bit? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's always kind of come really naturally to me. Like there's, I also dabble with music and music production. And when I started doing that, it was completely foreign to me. And it took me ages to get kind of, to even get my head around the basics of it. But, with video, like I've always taken to it like a duck to water effectively. Like it just comes naturally to me, I'd say. And I think, talking about that, it's, the editing and like you were saying, it's as long as you think in a linear fashion with video, you're fine. As long as, as soon as you start thinking, like all these crazy ideas coming in and I should film this and that, like it's never going to work. You got to think storyline.
Storyboard it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Storyline in a linear fashion. Like how does the video open? How does the film open? And how does it end? And what's the core to the video,
So what was your school experience like, Sheldon? What you into? Like, how did it go for you at school?
I mean, school for me was, I wasn't very creative because I was always kind of told, like, look, become a lawyer, become work in finance, or, do something proper, So for me, like, creativity was always on the, it was just never in the forefront. I did a lot of karate and a lot of sports. And, for me to say, I want to play the piano, that was like, what the hell, like, thought you pursuing the karate route, not the piano. But it was like, school I was never into it, and I was never really interested. Kind of like, grade B, grade C student. And, but I worked hard. Like, it was, I wasn't naturally smart. I had to work hard to, to get the grades and what have you. But I think, at the end of the day, like, I always wanted to pursue these things like filmmaking and get a camera and, get a MacBook and start editing. But there was always that cost factor as a kid. You can't just ask your parents for a MacBook or
So where did that flair for video come from? Was it an early age for you?
It was pretty common to a lot of other filmmakers, and that was just I got hold of a GoPro 3. 2013, I worked in America as a counselor.
Oh wow!
Camp America, and
I was going to do that. Was it good?
Oh, it was epic. I mean, it completely changed my life. It was, I kind of saw what the world was about in a bigger sense, and you leave little Worcestershire and you go, to the middle of Times Square, New York, or whatever. And it's just, you just get an awesome sense of like freedom and just growth, in a nutshell.
We touched on this actually before we started, but your accent isn't actually particularly Worcestershirean, is it? There's
No.
a little bit of something else in there.
Yeah, it's a twang of South African. My parents are South African. So I mean, I was born in England, but I've grown up to my dad, who is like extremely, strong, like Afrikaans spoken guy. Yeah. He's this big, like, stereotypical South African that you just picture with a Schwarzenegger voice,
So I imagine telling him you're going to be a videographer was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it kind of went straight over his head. It was like, what's a videographer? Like, it's yeah. I mean, it's as soon as you show your parents some good stuff and some good content, then they understand,
So you were saying you got this GoPro, and that kind of led you into finding a love for filmmaking. Yeah,
fully. It just completely sparked me. Like I was doing a lot of CrossFit at the time. I'll take it down to CrossFit, kind of stick it on the kettlebells and on the barbells.
Oh, cool.
And, it's really good to just kind of like, messing around, and I'd stick it on the computer and I'd make a little edit. I've still got some of those videos and they're absolutely awful, but it was so good.
So did you go to university, Sheldon?
Yeah, so I went to a music university in Oxford.
Oh, wow.
Called SAE, and it was heavily around like audio production, audio for film, sound design, and yeah, so I did that for 2 years. Coming to the end of that, I got an internship in Bristol for a sound design company called Radium Audio. And that was really the kind of point which, turned my thinking from, like, it's hard to explain, like from a boy to a man, just keep it simple. Like I saw
epiphany.
Yeah, I saw like the media industry, and like they filmed Poldark there, they filmed Crystal Maze, all these kind of productions were going on, and I was just like, I just felt so at home there, and I felt like I could just, I had so much to offer when I was there. And then, the guys that kind of ran the company, like, and all the guys that I worked with, it was just a super, super good time, experimenting with sound, experimenting with cameras. There was a lot of visual stuff. And then the guy actually got me involved with animation, because I'm probably more of an animator than I am a videographer.
Okay.
You actually sent me one of your animations the other day. I was actually really cool. Honestly, don't know how you make. They must take you hours to make them.
Yeah, weeks.
Wow.
It's you know, I mean, we could talk for hours about the animation side alone. Like, it's, you know, it's but I'm kind of going down the route of like lyric videos. Like, I've had 2 lyric videos for Justin Timberlake.
You've done some lyric videos for Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, I've done two.
Jesus, that's awesome, mate.
Yeah, 2 official lyric videos, and that's with Anderson .Paak as well. So
wow, mate, that's awesome.
So what was the step that took you from you know, just before you went into videography to going into it? What was that plunge for you?
I think the biggest plunge was my girlfriend actually does yoga for deaf people. So she runs something called Sign Yoga, which is had like a huge amount of interest. And we had this idea of creating the first ever online platform for deaf people to do yoga.
Oh, that's really cool.
So yeah, I mean, we basically sat down, we spoke about it, we spoke about what we had in mind, and you know, I said, look, I can jump on Squarespace, I can make you a website, we can get a camera, we can film a whole bunch of classes in sign language, and that's what we did. But the next day, went down to Jessop's, bought a A6 500 camera, and yeah, man, it was just wicked. Just completely, like, just filmed a hell of a lot of yoga, learned a lot about the camera doing that. And yeah, that was just how I got into it, like, in a professional way.
So what, from then onwards, you've obviously, you're doing some wedding videos, right? You collabed with a company called Born Focus, and you sort of did some commercial stuff and some wedding stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, Born Focus is run by a guy called Rob, and he's just absolutely fantastic. Like, when I started out with the film stuff, it was just like, you know, we're always communicating, always talking about, you know, just all things film, effectively, all things cameras. And yeah, it just, you know, we got on like a house on fire. I knew Rob from previously, who we actually met at CrossFit like a good 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was. So yeah, I mean, it was just, I mean, he was pretty established. He's a fantastic wedding videographer. Like, he's just an absolute beast with the wedding video.
Is that one of the better ways to learn about the industry, is to learn from someone who's slightly more established? Has that worked quite well for you?
I think it's the only way. To learn. I mean, you know,
because you're on the job then as well. You're not in a classroom or anything, are you?
Exactly. And it's you know, it's just like coming out of uni doing audio production and that. Like, I kind of, you know, I hate to say this, but I just think uni's a bit of a waste of time unless you're doing, you know, eye surgery or law. You know, like, going for a creative practice is just like so pointless.
I have to say, I that is kind of my thinking with university. I do get it. You know, a lot of people go for the experience, or like Julie's an engineer, so he's done like a master's. Basically, he didn't want to go to work, so when he did a master's. But I get it for stuff like that. But I think you're right. The hands-on approach that you've got surely has, you know, sent you leap and bounds ahead of people that are just doing it at uni.
Oh man, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, like, it's now, like, I've only been doing this, like, I'm talking like I got that camera like a year ago. Wow. You know, so the progress over a year, you know, from just messing around with the GoPro and just learning the basics of videography and, you know, editing and thinking in that linear fashion, what I was talking about. You know, it's been a year, and it's just, there's been so much going on. Like, I've worked as DP, director of photography, on a few videos for Sony. I work with an awesome team from Birmingham.
You've got so far a year in. You've got Justin Timberlake, and you worked with Sony.
Yeah,
You're flying, mate.
It's been a heavy year. It's been a lot of work, but it's.
So what would some of those average days for you be like?
So just kind of like waking up and we've got a busy day ahead. You're talking like that?
Yeah. What
an average day.
Yeah, an average day that. I guess it changes quite dramatically from weddings to Sony to Justin Timberlake. That's quite a varied difference. But what do you get up to?
So I mean, I work so well at night. I'm a big night owl, so I'll be kind of like signing off sometimes 5 a.m.
Wow.
And it's the kind of only way that I can stick my sleep to 6 hours, without kind of sleeping like 8-9 hours and just staying in bed all day. So I basically, I work super late. So I'll wake up, 10, 11 o'clock, get myself a coffee, get going. And then I'll just crack on. Like animations normally the first thing, like if I've got any commercial explainer videos which I need to crack on with, or illustrations or editing, anything that I can kind of just start straight away. I can get myself fired up. I can get in the zone, and just get working. Like, like that's how I start my day.
So when you do like a shoot day, what do you do then? You up super early, or does that mess with your schedule and your planning, your storyboard? How does that work on shoot days?
It's so, it's so like you've got to adapt so much. Like for example, the other week I actually shot in with the gym in Worcester, the guys that
AOD.
Yeah. So obviously, like with their new venture, I was there. So basically that was a night shoot. So now the whole day kind of revolves around that. So it's just really about getting prepared, cleaning my lenses, charging the batteries, calibrating everything. Everything gets laid out. Everything gets a mini MOT. And it's just, it's just got to be super, super prepared. I'll start storyboarding. I'll mood boards. Just get as prepared as I possibly can. And then like I was talking about this gym campaign, that shoot started at 9 o'clock at night because we needed to control the lighting. So I was kind of there for 7 p.m. setting up, getting the lights together, and I made it's easily the best piece of work I've ever done. I'll be quite excited to show you guys actually.
Send it over, mate. I'd love to see it.
I think you guys will really like it. And then, so I finished that, say midnight. I got home probably about 1 a.m, 1:30, charged up the batteries, did an all-nighter, and then went straight back out. I left the house about 3:30. I drove over to Broadway, and I shot for a cider company.
Cool.
I wanted to get the sunrise coming up over the apple orchard.
Oh, wow.
So we, got there super, super early, waited for the sunrise to come up. And it was cloudy as hell, but we got a few breaks.
You got it.
But it was.
So this doesn't sound like it's obviously not an office job per se. You're obviously doing a lot of traveling. Then you're getting your head down. You're doing your editing. It sounds like it's quite varied and pretty much almost in your hands how much editing you want to be doing, how much shooting you want to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally the ball's totally in my court, and with my process now, I've got so efficient with editing. Like it's probably 5% of the process, because I just know how to shoot, and I know how to, stick to storyboards and just stick to the plan.
And it's probably already in your mind's eye once you've shot it, haven't you? That drive back, you probably, exactly what edit you're going to make anyway, and you can just get that done quite quickly. Exactly.
And as soon as I'm on this computer, it's just like the footage goes in, and now probably about 75% of my footage gets used, which previously probably would have been about 10% of the footage, because half of it would have been awful. So yeah, it's all about being efficient, and it's the same with anything. I think if you're, you're smart and you plan things out, and you really think about things before you do it, it's so much easier in the long run.
What were some of the other like personality traits that you've seen yourself or others in the industry? You obviously got like planning, effective working. Anything else that you think is quite critical for what you do?
I think being quite like approachable and quite like friendly is important. Being creative, main thing. If you don't have the ideas, you can have all the skills in the world, but you're never going to really bring any concepts to life if you don't have any cool ideas, right? I mean, like, God, I mean, there's a handful of traits. I think, just generally being completely switched on in most areas. I think if you're running a business, you've just got to be so switched on. Like I'm awful with, kind of like the business side of things, making myself look as good as I can, like websites. And I'm in the early stages of getting myself a portfolio website.
You've got to be multifaceted. You've got to be approachable, and you've got to have a work ethic as well, right? When you're running a small business, essentially.
Oh, man, like, especially now, like, talking about work ethic, I think that's just, you've got to be able to take everything and anything, and you've got to be able to deal with it, because it's, it's like with COVID going on, and, if a second wave comes through, like, I don't know if the media side of things is going to slow down or what,
So what are some of the biggest positives or opportunities you've taken out of this? And I mean, you're only a year in, but it sounds like you've had some massive opportunities, and it sounds positives are, quite regular.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, so can you just re-say what you said?
What's some of the stuff that you've enjoyed the most working in the industry?
I mean, I really, really like the gym stuff. Like that's been my favorite kind of part of the process, because it's something I quite enjoy myself. And, especially with the CrossFit videos, like, I kind of understand what these guys are looking for.
So you can see yourself like speciality towards that sort of thing, the gym side, that sort of scene's what you enjoy them. Okay.
100%. But I mean, I love the music stuff as well. I love working in a team. Like that's probably my main thing that I could say. Like I love working with, really, really like awesome creative people that bring, awesome ideas to the table, and people that I can kind of bounce off, and, I can learn from, and, I can act a bit stupid around them, because, I don't know everything. I've got to learn from somebody.
And what about some of the more negative sides of the industry that you've had to deal with? Maybe it's those late nights, but I don't seem to bother you so much.
Oh man, I love the late nights. It's
kill me.
Oh mate, I love techno, so I don't know why it seems to go well with late nights. Negatives. I think, I think the hardest bit about it, probably the most negative, is like, obviously working for a company, at the end of every month, you're going to get some money into your bank account. I think, obviously being self-employed, you can be waiting, however long it takes a company to pay you, which is always tough, because, as life's expensive, and, I'm always looking at new cameras and
the equipment. Yeah, I mean, it's quite an expensive industry to get into, really, isn't it? With the equipment. So yeah,
it is pricey. It is pricey.
So we like to talk about money on the show a little bit. So we're going to give you some average figures of what we found for a videographer in the UK.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is more wedding videography. The figures come from, and it's between 22 to 26k annual. Does that sort of resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're at my kind of level, and you don't have, a cinema standard rig, so like, all the gear, so you could be in a position to be employed by or commissioned by the BBC, or do a documentary for whoever. I think like you are in a sense limited a little bit, but for that figure, I would say, I mean, that is probably more geared towards the wedding stuff, like you said, because you can earn decent money. I mean, you get two weddings a month, you can make a full-time living. But like on more the creative side, like working with the smaller companies, like you've probably struggled to make that much. So I mean, this is why I have the animation aspect. And if I get a client that says, look, I need a logo, I need a website or whatever, I will do that as well, in terms of a design aspect, because it's, current times as well. You can't pull yourself into a box and, just expect to earn a full-time living doing gym videos. It's
okay.
It's not going to happen.
So what would be something that you have to deal with maybe every now and then or quite regularly that you never expected to be dealing with on your day-to-days?
Oh man, God,
maybe it's difficult clients or the late nights or something like that.
I mean, to be honest, like there's so much stuff, and it's just, this is why I just really enjoy what I'm doing, because every job that I do, or anything that I kind of get into, like there's always these things which you think you can't do. For me, it was like I never really saw myself sitting down with clients face to face and kind of being in a professional sort of manner. I don't really like being on the spot as a personality. So things like that. I think
so
that's
hard behind the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you ask me to go on camera, I tell you, it's a totally different story. I'm like, I'm shy. I'm a shy guy, but but this, you just get over it, don't you? You just learn. You just adapt.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
Make yourself proud of yourself.
So we've already, talked that you've done quite a lot in your first year, but how are you envisaging you progressing within the industry? Are you, like you said, you're spreading out a bit, you're doing a bit more, you might do some websites, some logos. How are you going to push your videography forward and build your reputation?
Oh man, good question. At the minute, like I'm kind of going through a bit of a complete change up in regards to technology, in regards to equipment. I'm about to invest in some new gear, a new camera. Just this job's quite heavily revolved around equipment and technology.
Yep.
And the person that's kind of offering their service for the same price with better equipment, like they're going to get the job effectively if if they got the ideas and if they're as good as you, like. But yeah, I mean, that's my next step, is just invest some money into the business. Invest in a website, invest in just the business as a whole, really.
Does it help you to do collaborations? Is that one way you can sort of get your name out there?
Yeah, I mean, like collaborations are really good. There's some awesome video guys out there which I'd love to work with. But it's just a matter of time as well. Like how much time have you got to fulfill all your own projects and then go and collaborate? Like I love collaborating. I learn so much, but it's got to be in the right setting as well. Like if we collaborate on a client's projects, like things like that are just brilliant.
So would you go back and give the GoPro to yourself, knowing, and do it all again?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
It's
brilliant to hear.
Definitely do it all again. It's a great thing. It's a great thing to pursue, and you know, I think for me, what I was trying to get at with my music journey was to just express myself, you know, creatively. And with video, I really feel like I do that. And, you know, there's so many projects which, you know, short films and things like that, which I want to do with a bit of budget and a bit of funding, and, you know, just bring some concepts to life.
So just before we wrap up, where can people find you on social networks?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram under Sheldon Heron, probably not the best, you know, branding at the minute, but I'm working on it. I'm going to brand myself, you know, make it look all professional, get myself a portfolio website, and
we will link Sheldon's Instagram in our posts on our Instagram, so you can go and check his work out. Make sure you put some animations up, mate, because they're really good.
Yeah, there's a few of them up there, so check them out.
Check them out. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Sheldon. It's been seriously interesting, and I wish you all the best of luck with what you're doing.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sheldon. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.